And note that everybody, all the council members are here. All right. In the interest of the social distancing and Governor Mills's limitation of meetings at 10 or fewer people, members of the public are strongly encouraged to participate electronically. Below is the information we've got, which is on our website to get it to click on.
If you need anything, call us.
John, bit of housekeeping, folks, for those of you that are new to the Zoom world. Please make sure your microphones are muted until such time as you're going to speak, so that we don't get the background noise of your lovely fur families and whatever's going on. And then when it's time for you to speak, just unclick that so that we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, so we call to order at 6:36. All right, the first order of business is public announcements, which details may be found at www.fairfieldme.com. Town buildings and non-emergency town services are closed to the public. Many services are available online, with some services being conducted by phone, email, and U.S. mail. Fairfield Farmers Market opens in mid-May and is held on Wednesdays from 2 to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 9:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. The market is located at the Fairfield Church of the Nazarene at 81 Main Street. Second order of business is public hearings. Number one, to hear from the public on proposed revisions of the Public Safety Ordinance, Article 1 parking, Section 10, and Article 4, no through trucks, Section 1. Second public hearing is second public hearing will be to hear from the public on the Central Maine ATV clubs.
John,
Yes.
John,
I'm
we
sorry.
have to do them one at a time.
I'm sorry, one at a time. You're right.
Thank you.
I'm just rambling. All right, so we'll open that public hearing. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak on either one of those ordinances? There being none, we'll move on to the second ordinance. To hear from the public on the Central Maine ATV Club's ATV access route renewal request along the roads to include the Davis Road, Gagnon Road, Martin Stream Road, Six Rod Road, 10 Lots Road, Horn Hill Road, and Bear Mountain Road. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak on that ordinance? All right, there being none.
Wait. Actually, Nora,
The third order
John,
of business
Sorry.
would be to hear from the public on a liquor license application.
John,
Yes,
Nora would like to speak actually regarding this.
on what?
On the
On the
ATV?
ATV, the Central Maine ATV.
Okay,
I'm sorry, John, I'm new to this and I was still on my mute.
Yeah.
Just, this is a renewal. This is a renewal from last year. We have not received any negative on any of the roads from any of the neighboring people along the roads. We're waiting to hear what the town would like us to do and when the roads would be open. Their access.
yeah, those
like to
were
get from A
actually,
to B, that's all that we use them for. Go ahead, John.
they were approved when I was on the planning board back in the 1980s, so they've been there for a while.
Did not realize that.
Yeah, those roads, that was all done way back a long time ago, and then it's been, I think, constantly renewed.
Well, clarification though, the ATV road access is new. And it's subject to when the road posters come down and when the shoulders firm up. And
Right.
so what we do is once that's done, then they're given a letter, because that letter also has to go to the comm center, the police department, and I believe the state police and the sheriff's office receive copies of that letter as well. So there's some formal pieces that have to happen once the permission is granted.
I understand. I understand that. I was just
Yeah.
going back when we initially talked about that many years ago. Any idea, Michelle, when that's going to, if it's approved, any idea how long it will take to open that up?
I can't imagine it's that long. Some of the feedback that I had received was actually there was no way the ATV trails were even going to be open on May 15th, which is usually the date that we shoot for when the posters come down. I do not know what is happening with the trail pieces, but normally what happens is that the Public Works Director works with the folks from the ATV Association, and we make sure we get them their notice as soon as they need it. But what we don't want to do is open the edges of the roads when there's no trail for them to link up
Access
to.
to the trails.
Right. Because folks, if they know that they can be on the edge of streets, they're going to think they can get on the trails. So we're going to want to work in conjunction with the ATV folks.
Michelle, we're looking at Memorial Weekend.
Okay.
Good.
Christine, you had a question?
Actually, it was a statement. So public hearings 2 through 5, the police department and municipal officials here in the town do not have any impediments for any of those public hearings. So there's no known conflicts or testimony to provide to you of an impediment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Michael. Go ahead, Mike. You're on mute anyway. There you go.
Yeah, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Christine answered my question.
Gotcha. All right. So moving on to the next order of business then on public hearings is to hear from the public on a liquor license renewal application, Class 9-restaurant submitted by Joda LLC DBA as Meridians Kitchen Bar at 166 Main Street, Fairfield. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak about that? Okay, moving on. Somebody is sitting there with their muted.
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4, to hear from the public on a special amusement permit renewal application for the purposes of entertainment, music, and dancing submitted by Joda LLC, doing business as Meridians Kitchen Bar at 166 Main Street, Fairfield. Are there any comments or questions from the public? Okay, there being none, to hear from the public on a special amusement permit renewal application for the purposes of entertainment, music, and dancing submitted by the American Legion Post 14, located at 86 Main Street. Is there any comments, questions from the public? Okay, there being none, we will move on to our third order of business. These are public comments, which are limited to 3-minute equivalent to public speaking. Members of the public may email comments for the council at info@fairfieldme.com by 4 p.m. the day of the meeting on any topic or agenda items that may be read aloud at this time. Was there any emails in, Christine, or?
We do not receive any electronic correspondence for this meeting.
Okay. All right, then we will move on to the fourth order of business, which is reports from staff and committee. And we will ask for the town
Sir?
manager's report.
Sir?
John, I believe you can also open it up to public comment for anybody that's
Sure.
here. And I think that's something that Mark would like to do.
How can the public not speak at this meeting?
You're our first person, Mark, that's ever wanted to participate in public comment on Zoom. So you're correct, and you do have 3 minutes, as long as it is of the chair's liking.
Is it of the chair's liking?
You may proceed.
Who are you?
I am John Paciotti.
John Paciotti. Well, hello, John. You know, the FBI and the Justice Department, along with the Fairfield Police Department and the Oakland, Maine Police Department, Police Chief Thomas Gould of the Fairfield Police Department and Police Chief Michael Tracy of the Oakland, Maine Police Department helped put underage high school girls online.
Point of order.
Yes,
We can't name employees during public comments. We can't name personnel, just for a point of clarification under the conduct of the meeting.
And this needs to be kept to town business, Mark.
it's not town business.
It certainly is. It involved the Fairfield Police Department.
No, it does
It
not.
also involved,
It does not.
it does. Because Michelle Llewellyn knew all about it. The town manager.
She's the one that's speaking. She did not.
Shh. How would you know that, sir?
Because I'm sitting there looking at her.
I investigated the case, sir. I know who was involved and who was not involved. Matthew Bard of the Fairfield Police Department
Mark,
told
if
me
you
as I
don't
called.
stop mentioning
No,
town
no,
personnel, we're gonna have to remove you. You have 1.5 minutes left, but you can't mention town personnel by name, Mark.
A personnel from the Fairfield Police Department told me that if I called the police department again on that subject, he would come over to my home and arrest me. Another police chief from a neighboring town and his wife took me to court on harassment charges on the purge of Maine because I was asking too many questions in which they were involved. Just a few days ago, I called Principal.
Okay, thank you, Mark. That's 3
Time's
minutes.
up. Time's up. Okay, move on to the fourth order of business, which is the town manager report.
Okay, so,
Unless Chief Tom Gould would like to
no,
speak on that.
I can tell you right now, Chief Tom Gould does not want to speak on that.
Okay.
So.
I had to ask.
Last month, the Kennebec Regional Development Authority, First Park, had their meeting. I think I've mentioned, and if I haven't, the T-Mobile building did sell recently. They have a long-term lease with the new owner, which is actually a state of Maine development firm, which is good. We did receive word at the tail end of last month that the police department has submitted for deorganization under the Teamsters Union. They will be looking to reorganize under the National Fraternal Order of Police. Their contract does expire June 30. We knew negotiations would be coming. We'll just be negotiating with a new union. On May 5th, the town's Economic Community Development Committee did meet. I can leave that for one of the other counselors to report on that were at that meeting. May 6th, of course, our taxes were due. Those numbers came in very, very well. Lots of folks did pay. A lot of folks paid through the mail. In fact, we actually believe taxes were paid at a higher percentage than they were this time last year. May 12th, which was yesterday, we did have a KV Cog Board of Directors meeting. That went well. Everybody is doing what all of us are doing, which is navigating the world of having group meetings over social media, well, through Zoom and electronically. So it is not without its hiccups, I can assure you. I've met a few times with the Professional Development Committee for Main Town and City Managers. The training programs for the next year, including council trainings, even convention in October, are all being looked at and addressed as to whether or not they're going to happen. But one of the things that has happened, so we get a lot, the town actually gets credit on their insurance for multiple things, but one of them is the fact that I'm a certified town manager. And we're required to have so much training in every given year. The insurance company has allowed us to basically have a free year in case we can't get training. So that's a good piece for us to know. We were also able to procure yesterday 200 face masks from the town of Norridgewock. Norridgewock was able to purchase their masks directly through New Balance. And we're buying them through Norridgewock at cost because they have another large shipment coming in. So we will hopefully have those this week, which will be helpful for staff when we reopen. That's been one of our big concerns. Town offices, libraries, non-emergency first responder staffs have not been considered a priority. So we do not receive anything of the federal and state shipments. And if you try to buy some of these products online, it's ridiculous. And if you find them that they're available, they're not going to show up until July. So we've been working on that. So we were happy to secure those yesterday. And we are continuing to work on an opening plan. Our plan just today changed drastically from what we were thinking about doing. We think we've come up with a way to partner with the staff from the library to actually place a hall monitor here so we can keep down and still have people in the building. We ran into some snags when it came to actually moving some of our technology into other places in the building, which is why the window piece started to not work. If you're not aware, the governor's executive order, emergency declaration proclamation was extended through June 11th. There is also some other executive orders that came out today. One of them does involve municipalities and things that we'll be discussing about later as we get into the agenda when it comes to taxes and tax commitment. But one of the big theses that came out is that there has been a change to the existing executive order so that if your car registration expires, you have 30 days to complete that registration if your municipality participates in the online registration process through the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. And this was done so that the excise tax that many municipalities throughout the state need in order to stay functioning starts to flow again. So that revenue stream that we were concerned about, we should see an uptick within the next 30 days. It hasn't been publicly broadcasted yet. We received this at 3 o'clock this afternoon. I've been going over it before your meeting today, but that is one of the big things. And we will start promoting that as soon as we know what our reopening plan is and how we're going to handle that for folks, because we don't want to send anybody into a tailspin panic to come running here to register their car and have the door still be locked. So we will be working on that, and that information should be out hopefully by end of day next Monday. We should have all plans finalized. So, and that for me is it for right now.
Okay, any questions, Stephanie?
I just wanted to report on the Economic Committee meeting. Is now a good time?
Yeah, we are now on to committee.
Okay.
Committees from that, so you're right on top of it.
All right. As Michelle said, we met on the 5th of May, and Fairfield Days is no longer because of everything going on with COVID-19. But I'd like to thank the people that were working on it. Maybe something will happen next year. Time will tell. We're in undocumented territory, so. But the Fairfield Days for 2020 will not be taking place. Garvin Donegan from the Central Maine Growth Council shared some slides with us on resources for small businesses and for the funding. And this there's places out there that can help the small businesses. And if there's anybody listening that is interested, you should contact Michelle or maybe even Garvin at the Central Maine Growth Council. And there's also, I was impressed to see that there were possibilities for nonprofit organizations as well. So if people have questions, please contact either the town manager or Garvin Donegan. We've been working on a playground project now for several years, about 4 or 5. And 2 months ago, I believe, we met with a lady, I can't remember her last name, Michelle Sashi.
Yes.
And it's for a natural playground out on Mill Island Park. And we need to get eventually a community group together. We need to look for grants that can help to support this endeavor. Right now, the playground is actually non-existent out on Mill Island, so it's time to do something about it. And we've also, for the past 6 months or so, been talking about painting murals on the bridges and maybe the trestles. And the Mill Island area has also come up. But again, we need to have some funding, some grant funding opportunities. I will be working with Garvin and Michelle and laying out some groundwork for the natural playscapes and getting the background information ready for the grant writing process. For the facade and marketing program that we have, Michelle has sent out some information to several businesses, but nobody has yet come forward with a completed program, completed papers for their businesses. So overall, it was nice to meet again. We did it on Zoom, and we'll be meeting again next month, I hope. And I found some material and some statistics on natural playscapes, so get ready, Michelle.
Thanks for the warning.
You're welcome. So, but overall, it was nice to have another meeting. There's been a lot of banking business going on, but I think that this is also an opportunity for us as a town to accent the positive attributes that we have. And you'll notice on our Facebook page that there's a paper there of lists of things that people can do during this time of quarantine. Doesn't cost you anything. Pack a picnic lunch, go for walks, but it's on our Facebook page. Next month, I'm going to be putting in some pictures for a walk around the downtown and to see if you can identify some of these places that are part of our history, because June is our birthday month as a town. So that's it.
I have
Yes, Michelle.
one more quick follow-up to what Stephanie was saying about the small businesses and the resources that are available. I did hear this morning too that Somerset Economic and Community Development does have some resources and potentially even some funds for some businesses in Somerset County. So that, of course, it does include Fairfield businesses. And feel free to contact me here at the office, and we can get you the contact information for Christian Savage up there, as well as the Growth Council and those sort of pieces. And we've also heard KVCOG is trying to help facilitate some applications and that kind of stuff too. So there's a lot of economic and community development partners that we have that are willing to help any of our small businesses here in town facilitate applications in various pieces. So
That's good. We're going to need all the help we can get, believe me. It's going to be tough for this business. Did they, Stephanie, one more question on that for the committee on the playground on Mill Island. I know we had talked for several years on a bridge going across in the back, a walk bridge to that playground from the main drag. Is that ever being discussed again or popped up?
Well, if my memory serves me correctly, that was over 3 years ago, and there came up to a problem with insurance.
Well, I know there was a bunch of
We
different
looked
things.
into more, but we're not talking about it. We're actually just talking about where the apartments were. where the original playground was,
Right.
that green space. So, but I think, you know,
Okay.
it is part of our comprehensive plan, so maybe there should be a discussion once we get our feet under us again.
Right.
The-
Well, we had talked about at that time also putting the farmer's market over there. So,
The last order from council was that that project was to be shelved until further notice. So the town
Right.
council actually shelved that project, so it hasn't come up again since.
okay. That's just something to think about as we move on. All right. Any other committee reports that anybody would like to enter in on? Okay, there being none. Let's move on to our fifth order of business, which is the consent agenda. Now, these items are considered routine or standard business and therefore will be enacted by one motion unless a council member requests that the item be removed and acted as a regular action item on the agenda. Does any of the council members have a movement that they want to act on? Okay, there being none, we will move on to item 2055.
Nope, nope,
Which is-
nope, nope. You actually need to have the motion, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we do. Well, I was going to read the items before we had the motion,
Okay.
which
Oh, no, then, okay, I thought you were moving on to the next item
Oh,
in order.
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
I was reading the items that we're going to vote on.
Okay.
Both of these
Sorry.
items, both of these
You
items.
put me on mute.
Both of these items are on consent agenda. All right, ordered that the Fairfield Town Council hereby waives a reading of and accepts the minutes for meeting 2020-09 held on April 22nd, 2020. And item 20-50, ordered that the Town Council hereby approves Treasurer's Warrant number 66, General Fund in the amount of $460,615.05. Gerald Hotel Associates, Main PERS, and MSAD 49.
Moved.
Second,
Any discussion? All in favor?
We have to do the roll call vote.
Okay, roll call vote.
All right, so
Stephanie?
John Patati,
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Courtney? Courtney?
yes.
Peter Lawrence,
yes,
Stephanie Thibodeau.
Yes,
Thank you.
Motion carries. Now we will move to our sixth order of business, which is to take action on the following items of business. The first item is 20-56. Ordered that the town council hereby adopts the public safety ordinance as amended.
So moved,
Second.
Okay, though that the public safety items are, one of them is the parking on both sides of Main Street from Summit to the intersection of Gordon Place, and the westerly side of Main Street from Lawrence Avenue to Summit Street shall be limited to 30 consecutive minutes of parking. And also that on both Cottage Street from Main Street to Savage Street and Military Avenue from Main Street to Savage Street shall be listed as no through trucks that would be local delivery only.
John Patati, how do you vote?
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Courtney Chandler,
yes.
Peter Lawrence,
yes,
Stephanie Thibodeau.
did we have a motion, Christine?
Yep, it was motion by Chandler, seconded by Taylor.
My vote is yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Item 20-57. Ordered that the town council hereby approves a renewal request from the Central Maine ATV Club to maintain an ATV access route along local roads to include the Davis Road, Gagnon Road, Martin Stream Road, Six Rod Road, Lots Road, Horn Hill Road, and Bear Mountain Road. Speed be set at 25 miles an hour, and date range to be set at the direction of the manager and public works related to coasted roads and spring conditions to minimize roads and shoulder damage.
So moved.
second,
All right, discussion. Yes, Stephanie.
Nora, this is for Nora. Nora, is there a way that we can get a listing of, or a map showing the ATV trails in town?
Well, we're out in the country, we're not in town, but
Well, that's what I
yes,
meant,
we
in the
have a map.
country. Where are the trails?
yes. Yep,
Christine.
It's the same map as last year. It wasn't included in the packet, but it would be the same as last year. And Stephanie, I'll make a note to email that to you.
Thank you, Christine.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Nora.
thank you, Christine.
You're welcome.
Any more discussion? There being none, call for vote.
John Pachani,
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
yes,
Courtney Chandler,
Yes.
Peter Lawrence,
Yes.
Stephanie Thibodeau.
Yes.
Thank you. It's unanimous.
Okay. Item 20-58.
No.
Ordered that the town council hereby approves a liquor license application, Class 9 restaurant, submitted by Meridians Kitchen Bar at 166 Main Street, Fairfield.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay,
This is just a yearly renewal, right?
yes,
Correct.
It doesn't make a difference if they might not reopen or. I've been hearing rumors that they're not going to reopen.
yes, Christine.
It's an annual license and they haven't made the very big payment to the state because that comes after the council approval. The council approval is free. There's no fee or charge for that. So they can decide not to move forward if they wish. But this is their opportunity to move forward if they so choose. It's an annual license, so the license goes from initial issuance to 1 year expiration date, regardless of when that approval takes place. Does that answer your question, Peter?
Yes.
Okay, any more discussion or questions? Call for vote.
John Pachati,
Yes,
Michael Taylor,
yes,
Courtney Chandler,
Yes.
Peter Lawrence,
Yes.
Stephanie Thibodeau.
Yes.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
motion carries. All right, item 20-60. Ordered town council hereby approves a special amusement permit application for the purposes of entertainment, music, and dancing submitted by the American Legion Post 14, located at 86 Main Street.
I think we skipped one, John.
Actually, we didn't. It's not on the list, but I will go back to it and we'll put it on the list. Is it item 2059 was just the oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Item 58 was a liquor license. 59, I was moving ahead of my check mark. Sorry. I knew it was in there. Ordered that the town council hereby approves a special amusement permit application for the purposes of entertainment, music, and dancing submitted by Meridians Bar, 166 Main Street, Fairfield.
so moved,
Second.
Discussion. Call for vote.
John Pachati,
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
yes,
Courtney Chandler,
Yes.
Peter Lawrence,
Yes.
Stephanie Thibodeau.
Yes.
Thank you.
Carries. All right, now we'll go to item 2060, which was the one I was reading. I apologize. Ordered town council approves a special amusement permit application for the purposes of entertainment, music, and dancing submitted by the American Legion Post 14 located at 86 Main Street in Fairfield.
So moved.
second,
Discussion. Hopefully they'll reopen at some point. All right, call for a vote.
John Pachotti,
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Courtney Chandler,
yes,
Peter Lawrence,
Yes.
Stephanie Thibodeau.
yes,
It's unanimous. Thank you.
All right. Now we will move on to a little bit tighter situation. And that would be, let's see. There we are. Okay. That would be for ordered that 20-61, the town council hereby considers and awards bids received for property acquired by the town for non-payment of taxes.
So move.
second,
Okay, discussion. We have got we've got five lots here. Two of them have no bidders. And yes, Michelle.
So what you're gonna wanna do on this is take item A, map and lot 941-1 and
Separately.
take each one separately. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
understand. All right, so the first one we will do is item A, which is map / lot 009-041-001.
I make a motion to accept Donald Duper's bid of $8,000.
I'll second that.
I have a discussion on this one. This,
Yes.
we got an amendment, listing from, the town manager in our notes. Deborah Goldsmith was the original owner of this, lot and has a bid in. I do not like to see a resident lose their house because she was the lowest bidder.
I can try to share that updated document if you would like, so that everybody can see it if you missed that email.
Yeah, I wish, yeah, please do.
Let's see if I can pull this off.
Please.
Look at that.
Yep.
Okay, so if everybody can see this, this is the first bid right here that you're dealing with. And we did send you some updated information because what went out to you wasn't inclusive. And I realized that after the packet had gone out, because I know that the council doesn't usually like to do anything that takes a property away from a previous owner. Normally it doesn't happen. In fact, I was discussing this with the tax collector treasurer. She said this is the first time ever that we've done bids that she's aware of that we actually received bids from a previous owner.
Right.
After the foreclosure process. And I think that but Fairfield does something interesting that a lot of folks don't do, places don't do, in that you allow that 30-day grace period after the foreclosure for previous owners to buy their properties back. And this individual just simply didn't come up with the money until after that 30 days had expired.
Will withdraw my motion.
Well, my question would be on this situation, how much was the taxes?
It's 3,000. Let me see it. Let me expand this a little bit.
I mean, what did she owe in taxes, I guess?
It was $3,919.21.
Okay.
John,
Yes,
the letter from the property owner was on page 2 in the bid packet.
yeah, no, I saw it.
Okay.
I've got it right here, but it's just that she would like the bid and stuff, but it didn't say how much what the taxes were actually owed on it.
paying everything but.
The spreadsheet had the minimum bid amount listed, which was the past due along with any fees that would be included in that.
Okay, minimum 319. I see it. 319, 2021. Yep. Any other, anything else? Anybody got?
So Michael has withdrawn his motion.
Right.
So you would be looking for a new motion for
I can
that.
make a motion that we award this bid to Deborah Goldsmith. She was the previous owner.
Second.
Discussion. Okay, there being none, call for a vote, Christine.
John Pachati,
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Courtney Chandler,
Yes.
Peter Lawrence,
Yes.
Stephanie Thibodeau.
Yes.
Thank you. It's unanimous.
Hello,
Okay. All right. Yes.
my name's Doreen Dewberry, and I appreciate you giving it back to the owner.
Ah,
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The high bidder.
Yes, thank you, guys. Okay, you can take the take that out off the screen now if you want.
Do you want it for the remainder of the updates of information though? So again, you had the two properties off the Davis Road.
All right, there was no bids on either one of those.
No bids on either of those, and we'll address how to go forward with those. Our next step is probably going to be to contact all of the abutters before we go any further with it, to see if they are interested, to make sure they were aware that that was there.
Okay.
So then your next one is number 4, which is map 5, lot 37.
Yeah, that would be map 5, lot 73.
I'm sorry, a little dyslexia today.
That's all right. That's why we're on Zoom. All right, this would be, there was 2 bids on this property. The minimum bid would be $879.21. The first bid was from a Christopher Poirier for $1,550. And then the second bid was from Kimberly Hawks at $5,788.
I'll make a motion to accept Kimberly Hawk's bid at $5,788 for the lot number 005-073.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Discussion. Okay, there being none, Christine, call for vote.
John Pachati,
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Courtney Chandler,
Yes.
Peter Lawrence,
Yes.
Stephanie Thibodeau.
Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to number 5, which is Ohio Hill Road. Again, that would be map lot 005-73-00C.
I can make a motion that we accept the bid of Kimberly Hawks for that property.
I'll
Okay,
second that motion.
that would be for $4,788. Discussion? There being none, call for a vote. Christine?
John Pachati,
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Courtney Chandler,
Yes.
Peter Lawrence,
Yes.
Stephanie Thibodeau.
Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll move on now to our item 20-62. This is ordered that the town council hereby authorizes payment to McGee Construction in the amount of $18,080 for pre-paving gravel upgrades on Industrial Road to be funded by the Industrial Road Park and Natural Gas TIF.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I have a question. I would like to know why this wasn't done back in 2019 if it was awarded in April.
So what was awarded last year, Stephanie, was just the paving. It was going to be, we partnered with BDS Tire contractor, which is McGee Construction. And all they were going to do was pave the road from where the asphalt ends to just beyond the entrance as you're heading down towards the ball fields. And what happened was last year, everybody was scrambling to get their paving done before the asphalt plants closed, that nobody got the paving done. So it sat and it waited, and we knew that we would come back this year and it would get done because it was already approved. In the meantime, this spring, last year, we did not think that that road needed to be improved. The road itself, the gravel, we thought everything was fine. It was stable. It has been for years. But what happened was this spring with the water and the water table the way it was and the large trucks going across it, it actually destroyed the road. So it really is good that we waited and it wasn't paved, because it would have completely crumbled and fallen apart. So now it's either don't bother pave it because it's going to continue to fall apart, or actually fix the gravel section, which is what this bid is for, is to remove the bad material, put new good material in so that we can pave it. And the biggest reason why we were looking to pave that is simply because they go from a paved road to a graveled road to their paved road and paved parking lot. So it was extenuating that and to continue the life of the road.
So am I to understand that we're not going to pave this because Bruce is recommending that we do not pave it, we just fix the gravel? Is that correct?
No. So we already have a separate order from the council to pave it and pay for the paving through the TIF funds. What we needed now to fix it is the council would need to approve it, the repair to be done with TIF funds. Because we can't, it needs to specifically be done for the TIF piece. And the other original order was strictly for paving and not for the repair and reconstruction of the road.
So the money will be coming out of which TIF?
The natural gas TIF, the industrial road natural gas TIF.
Yeah, okay, I see it here now. All right. I don't have any more questions on this matter.
Anyone else have any questions? There being none, all right, we have a motion and a second. Christine, call for a vote.
John Pachati,
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Courtney Chandler,
Yes.
Peter Lawrence,
Yes.
Stephanie Thibodeau.
Yes.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Now comes the fun part. Welcome to coronavirus. Okay, ordered. Item 20-63. Ordered that the town council hereby considers adjusting the date of the annual town budget meeting and related town charter requirements due to COVID-19 public health emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we have a move and a second. Now we need lots of discussion.
Can you go over the options, please, Michelle, as of today?
As of today.
As of today.
As of today. So your options are: A, you reschedule your town meeting till sometime after August. And the reason why it would need to be after August is because the limit of meetings of 50 or more people. So the current rescheduling was for June, which we wouldn't be able to do. We currently have, what is it, approximately 4,300 registered voters. Now, in a perfect world, all 4,300 of them would come to vote at town meeting. We know that they're not going to. But what we cannot do is set up a meeting in June and tell the 51st person that shows up that they can't come in, because that's just not fair. And voting town meeting via Zoom is near on impossible, simply because of the fact that you have to do a roll call vote in order for any vote to count. So you would have to know who every single person was that was watching via Zoom and call their name individually for their vote. So that's not likely. So you wait, reschedule till after, hopefully in September, when the numbers for meetings are greater than 50. and we'll have to wait for that order to come because anything that's happening after August isn't out yet. 2, your option is to vote to order that all of the town meeting warrant articles be called via a referendum ballot. You partner with the election that's happening in July. So therefore, we're already having an election for the school and you're having an election for the state. So there would simply be a municipal ballot. The ballot would include every single article that we have at town meeting already, except for, the last 4 business articles, which don't have to go to town meeting because the council already has the authority under charter to do them. We've just never removed them since the new charter went into place. So those are your options. Option 3 is do nothing. You could do absolutely nothing. And when the school's budget is complete and we have the complete county budget, you could commit taxes with this current fiscal year's budget, meaning the council could declare that the budget for 2021 is the same exact budget as 1920 and commit with those numbers and set a new tax rate and go forward. The recommendation of that and the clarification that did come from the governor's office this afternoon, there was some clarification in that because part of the problem was you had the right to use the same budget, but you didn't have most municipalities didn't have the right to actually set the commitment date and the interest date. The town charter inherently gives the council that authority anyway, so that wasn't a concern of ours, but that is the clarification that came out today for folks. So you could do nothing and do that. I would caution you about doing nothing simply because of the fact that our department budgets do not exactly line up. Your plans for this year were very different than they were last year. Just our paving project plans alone were very different because not only was the normal paving, but we were hoping to start that new paving plan that addressed some in-town streets with the undesignated fund balance.
Yeah.
And that wasn't in last year's budget. So those are your options.
I'd like to put forward a motion to go with the second option of going.
I have a question. I have a question too. I know there's a lot of nonprofit organizations within our budget, and a lot of them have not operated since March. And doubt there will be this summer too. That's the rec program. And we allotted a lot of money for that rec program. And we do not know what the outcome will be for further on this. So I'm just wondering, do we need to adjust the budget between the council and the budget committee on all these nonprofits?
And on that same line, can you ask them to resubmit since nothing's happening? I hadn't even thought about that, Peter.
Go ahead, Michelle.
One of the things I forgot to mention, you have to make a decision by Friday.
No.
You have no time.
Holy cow.
That's why this has inundated every second of our lives since the lawyers told us that we could go forward and do this. You have to decide by Friday.
Concern too is the 2 different budgets.
So one of the things, sorry, Peter, not to interrupt you, but one of the things to remember with that question, okay, so while these nonprofits may not be open, I'm not aware that some of them are not providing services. They might be adjusted. I haven't followed up on any of those or heard anything. The other piece of that is just because the money is raised and appropriated at town meeting doesn't mean the town council can't make an adjustment and say something changes. Say someone says, no, we didn't need that amount of money, we need less. You can't ever go up, but you can always go down. And that money, if it is not spent, just simply goes into the undesignated fund balance and will be there for the following year.
I'm just wondering too, how much is actually left from these nonprofits that haven't been spent?
Yeah, I don't know.
But
Stephanie.
Okay, this is how my mind is working. Given that the town charter says we're going to have a town budget hearing to go over the budget. If we went with rescheduling for after August, would we schedule that budget hearing after August and then vote in September?
So the budget hearing
Mhm.
timeline is determined by when your town meeting is determined. Okay, so these events have to happen at specific times. So there's the town meeting mailer that has to be mailed. Then you can have your budget public hearing, and then it's the town meeting. And the town meeting sets in motion when all of those things happen. It's X number of days before, X number of days before. And the concern with that is that waiting, okay, so then what's gonna happen is you are certainly, again, like I had said before, September, we may, first of all, thankfully, excise tax will hopefully start coming in, because as I had said in my memo, if we didn't receive another penny in revenue, we had enough funds to hopefully bring us through September.
All right. Right.
Christine,
So to answer the question on some of these nonprofits, so for instance, the homeless shelter, Kiwi Cap, some of these service-oriented programs, they are still providing services to residents in the greater community, including Fairfield residents. And as the welfare director, I rely heavily on their being available to refer people to. So I did just want to let folks know that those are not services that just because their building might be closed doesn't mean that, like us, they might be working behind closed doors and still serving residents.
yeah, Meals on Wheels is still working too, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Stephanie.
So I think the big question is, do we want to have our town meeting? Or do we want to just do a referendum vote? Really, those two options.
That would be the problem with the town meeting, which we'd have to have a very large multiple room space. It would be relatively complicated, I would think.
Why don't we just, oh, John, I'm sorry, John. Why don't you just go to each sections, like, we're made up 5 different towns. Why don't we do this like a town hall meeting and go to each town and explain this? Because I know each town is made up of so many size of residents, might have space within their area to hold a town hall meeting.
Peter, I think like 3 people live in Lerone.
Right.
No, we can,
It's
like
a matter of
Lerone-
having those
Like
spots.
Lerone can come with Fairfield Center.
Yeah, Courtney.
I think that we should really consider the referendum vote, because as it is, I know we get a pretty decent turnout for town meeting. But if I didn't already months ago tell my boss that I had to be at the meeting, I wouldn't be able to make it. I think that if you make it a regular referendum vote, like with any other election, it's going to open up accessibility for a lot of residents who just can't make it to town meeting for one reason or another, but can either vote
Yep.
by absentee ballot or maybe find a ride down there, because elections are open for 12 hours instead of town meetings 2 or 3.
Right. Michael.
I would definitely go with the referendum on this, as I believe it was, if I read correctly, that even if one of the articles fails, it would revert back to last year's budget. Was that my correct understanding on that, Michelle?
So we have created an article that would have that happen. It's actually, it's article number 2 on the warrant, the first one being to elect the moderator. But the second article says to see if the town will vote that if any article herein does not pass, the amounts appropriated in the 2019-2020 fiscal year for that subject article shall be deemed adopted for the 2021 fiscal year. That is your only safety net. Like I had said, when I put this memo together for you, this is risky. And no matter what you do, it is risky. This is risky where you run the risk of our police department or our fire department being voted out or the town office being voted out. But it's also risky to wait till September and find out the state's not going to open up and you still can't have a town meeting. And we're facing the fact that we don't have any money and we're taking out TANs. Now, granted, the interest rate's going to be low, but we still have bills to pay. So it's all risky.
Michelle, or I'm sorry, Stephanie.
And my concern is one of the big gray areas we don't have is what's going to happen after August. Is that 50 people in a meeting going to be lifted? So we don't know that for sure. I have my doubts about a referendum vote. For a lot of times people don't even know what they're voting on. And I share Michelle's concerns because if they vote an article down, we're going to be backpedaling. And I don't like that idea. If we wait until after August, we would be going into the second quarter of our fiscal year, correct? So we would only be operating on this year's budget for one quarter. And then we would have the budget vote.
Right, but the piece to keep in mind is that until you commit taxes again, we have no more property taxes coming in. The reason why we're fortunate enough to be able to go through, hopefully through September or partially through September, is because our fourth quarter property taxes were just due last week and we collected them. That was the charge of revenue that we received that will allow us to continue to function. Okay, so that's the big piece to remember. September could get here. You may find that groups of 50 or more won't happen until October. And we've run out of money by then because we didn't have enough revenue stream to pay what we need to pay. That's.
I have a question. If we do a referendum, how, or absentee ballot, how will that work? All the ballots come to the town office and they go into a big box until the election's over?
Yeah, so it works just the same way as any other election. We would order the ballots when we order, the school's ballot is prepped and ready for their election in July. We'd order the ballots at the same time. We would cost share the programming of our stick for the voting, the tallying machine. Folks would be able to get this ballot at the same exact time they request any other absentee ballot. I know that absentee voting is really being pushed because it helps with social distancing and folks to vote at home. I quite frankly would encourage that if you do this, that folks take out an absentee ballot anyway. This is going to be 31 questions long. You know, it's all yes, no votes, but it's 31 individual questions because it is broken down just the same exact way as any other warrant is. The mailer still goes out to everyone with the explanation in the articles. You'll still have your public hearing. Granted, it would be via Zoom, but you would still be able to have that. We would continue with promoting the fact of how this referendum would work, what folks need to realize, what the yes, no vote means to them. Because it is different than our normal processes, we're hoping that we would actually get press coverage from the Morning Sentinel. We would do our own press release, send that out to them. Hopefully various media networks pick that up. I did hear today the town of Belgrade is doing this. There's a lot of surrounding communities all over the state that are doing this. This is going to be a big deal for folks this year because there are so many municipalities that are used to voting on the floor that this is the way that they are going. Simply because the fact that they feel it'll.
I have a question. Who will be actually looking at the ballots, like the absentee ballots, and counting them up? Will it be a neutral party or?
So they get counted just the same way as they always do. So they would count through the machine.
Christine,
You have your warden, your election clerks, all of that.
yeah, Christine, you can answer that.
So just to clarify, you asked about whether or not all the absentees are held right up to election day. Absentees actually have to be processed in real time. The moment we get the request, they go into CVR. The moment they go out the door, they get coded into CVR. The moment they come back to us, they get coded into CVR. They're coded up in batches, and we run audit reports of what's gone out, what's come back. And we have actually signed up for early processing, which is going to allow us, and that will be posted and published, but it's going to allow us to do early processing potentially the Friday before election and the Monday before election. We're going to wait and see how much we have for volume and whether or not we need the 2 days versus one. But on one of our big turnout elections, it took the better part of an entire day on a Monday prior to election to get through the content, because there's a process in how we manage those, how they get coded to the list, how they're separated. But they're all kept in batches. Everything does require, outside of the work that I do here at the town office, a Democrat and a Republican, it's witnesses, it's a witness process, it's a documented process, and it's heavily restricted. Only a clerk or a deputy clerk can be handling those ballots.
Now, I would presume too, just a quick on where we have we have items on the town budget and items from the budget committee that are separated. So whenever there is a difference, would that be on the ballot of both numbers?
So well, it's the council's choice as to how it is worded. So what you've done in the past, if there's a discrepancy between the town council and the budget committee, you've always put the higher number forward and allow the folks to discuss that on the floor. You won't have that option
Right.
this time.
But you don't have that
You
option
still
now.
can certainly put the higher number forward. And what happens and what goes on the ballot is it actually says whether it's town council recommended, budget committee recommended, and the way we have them listed is when you agree, they're listed the same, both town council and budget committee recommend.
Right,
If you differentiate, the difference is are listed. Town council recommends this, budget committee recommends that.
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it's your choice. So like, here's the one of the discrepancies you have. The town council wants, what is it, $17,000 for spring cleanup. The
right.
budget committee put in the full $20,000.
20,000, yeah.
The council can choose whether or not you want that warrant article to say $17,000 or the $20,000. That's your choice because it is the town council warrant. Just know that if you put in the $17,000, the option that the budget committee put forward, nobody would ever have an opportunity to vote on.
Right, that's what,
Right.
I didn't know if, if it came up on that particular question, if it said town recommends 17,000, budget committee recommends 20,000.
And that's how we have the article drafted.
Okay, Stephanie?
I just think it's asking an awful lot to do a referendum vote when the school's doing theirs and there's the state vote also. I really, and I have no problem doing Zoom for the budget hearing. But it just doesn't settle well for me to do a referendum vote and people don't have the opportunity to meet. That's a constitutional right, just like it is to vote. But to meet and assemble and vote on a budget, I think is very important for our whole country. I need to know more about if this goes to referendum vote and somebody in an article doesn't pass, what exactly are we going to do? What happens if the police line doesn't get passed or the fire department doesn't get passed? We're in a pickle.
Courtney?
So from my understanding, from what Michelle and Christine have gone over, is if that happens, we're just going to revert to that department's budget for last year.
But there's also the situation with insurances, wages, those have all gone up this year. we're going to have a negative situation in our budget, won't we, Michelle?
I honestly think that we're gonna be in the same boat either way, because people can vote it down even after we say that increase is paying for insurance, that increase is paying for this, that, and the other thing, we need a new cruiser. People can still say no in the meeting or on the referendum ballot.
Because every year for the last couple of years, we have the same old amount of people showing up and voting. And this time, if you do a referendum, the whole residents will have a voice. Because we
And I
have
Not a
residents
bad thing.
now with this virus going on. I heard we might lose a lot of tax liens and things like that, might double. So the residents need that voice on this budget.
And I honestly think that it's a voice that a lot of people are forced not to have, because if you work retail, you're not voting in a town meeting because you're working.
They can have a choice to vote absentee.
Exactly. That's why I think we should go with the referendum, because it gives that voice to a lot of people who don't have it. Because even if the restrictions were lifted, I've never seen more than around 100 people in our town meetings since I've started as a counselor. And we're a town of
Never had that many.
over 4,000 voters. That's just not fair to the rest of the people who could have a choice to vote and aren't able to.
Yeah, Michelle?
Okay, so I think I've made a list of some of these questions. If I missed any of them, please feel free to re-ask. So one, I wanted to address where Stephanie felt that it was a lot to have a referendum vote. And I agree with you, it's a lot of questions to be asked. I can tell you that there's a large number of municipalities in this state that vote their town meeting this way. The town that I live in Clinton, right next door, being one of them, they've done it for more than 20 years. That's where the tax bill mailer came from when the town redid its charter. That's where the public hearing piece came from before you do your town meeting. There is a process in which people can be informed, and we can make sure that they're informed. So there is that. The budget piece, yes, we would revert back to last year's amount as long as question 2 passes. If question 2 is voted down, then we would not revert back to last year's amount. And whatever department it is or whatever line it is would not be funded. But keep in mind, it's July. So remember last year, the school budget came out and it didn't pass. And we had to vote it again. And that's exactly what the plan
What
would
would
be
happen
if
with
that's
us.
what this happens.
Yeah.
My question on that, they have not even held a budget meeting. They usually hold 2 or 3 meetings before their vote. They have not held one. So how can they have a vote in July?
I know that they're working on their process, and some folks for education are actually working with their associations in the governor's office on how their process works.
Yeah, because
But I can't speak to any of the rest
we
of that.
haven't received the mail. We receive a mailer in the mail. We haven't received that yet. So
Christine?
Yes, so the budget meeting at this time is scheduled for Tuesday, June 16th. It was going to be the day after ours, and they have indicated to me electronically, they've authorized me to order the ballot at the beginning of last week. So we're just waiting on what happens tonight before I order any ballots. We're waiting on that. Because the school is going to align with the July election. They pushed out when everything got pushed out. So everything's just a month delay.
Okay.
So back to the budget, if we were to revert back to last year's budget, some of our departments, it's not a big deal. Our budgets are pretty much the same. In some departments, it is a big deal. Okay, so one of them being the police department. Police department's budget is up $30,000, I think, and some change. I actually think I can show it to you so you can see the example.
That's all right.
Okay. So I think I can share it for you. Okay, here we go. Police department. Right here. Make sure we're looking at all of this.
Mhm.
Is the increase in that department's budget. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing this the way I would like to see it.
Right. Well,
So this is the increase in their budget. But if you look at the biggest part of that increase is right here. Your health insurance is up $25,704.
Yeah.
So if they reverted back to last year's amount, which is $27,000 less, we will have to make choices as to how we run that department, knowing we have $25,000 less. And it may very well require a layoff.
Or not a new car.
No, that money comes out of a different line.
Oh,
yeah, different.
That's strictly staff. So, and $25,000 is a lot of money. You don't have that you could go to contingency and transfer that over. That's not something that you cover. That's when you have to make choices. That's why having conversations with folks about this budget is going to be important. Maybe you schedule more than one public hearing. Maybe you do go to other places and set up meetings to talk about the budget if you can keep the group small enough. There's a whole bunch of options that the council has to make sure that the townspeople are educated about this budget. These spreadsheets are on our website. They go in our town report. The town report will be out there for everyone to pick up. You'll be able to see every single one of these numbers like you have in past years when you come to town meeting. The information will still be available to folks the same way. It's just, you won't be able to go into a room and say, I don't like this number and bring it down.
Right. The other thing I think on this whole, on the budget aspect, which I think for individual people, and a lot of them don't go into and get into all these numbers and stuff like that, but is the fact of, well, how's it going to affect my taxes? Is it going to be the same as last year? Is it going to be less? You know, I think that bottom number makes a big difference also.
And one of the pieces right now with this budget, council's piece of the budget had put it so that it was your original recommendation had you back to it. Is right here, this line right here. Council's original recommendation was $31,271 more than last year.
Right.
And as I had said in my memo, a big portion of that was because the council took on this year, because we had such a healthy undesignated fund balance. Things were moving along quite swimmingly when we put this all together back in January and February, that you wanted to put additional funds into the capital reserve accounts for equipment. And what I had sent you in the memo was that if you actually put that back to the original request, which just means that for every capital reserve account in fire, police, or public works, they only go up $5,000 as opposed to the increase that we had put forward. Bring them back to the original pieces. That would actually bring your budget down so that it is actually $28,729 less than last year's budget.
Yep.
And I know we all complain, I myself would complain about the fact that we're going after our capital reserve account because we never save enough that we're supposed to. However, due to the current times, taking this on as our new initiative, I just don't think is appropriate for this year. And you would be better off putting that back to the other piece, knowing that this budget can be decreased. And decreased knowing that you're expanding your paving program, all of those things. If this gets passed in July, you can start your paving program. If you wait till September or October, we won't do any paving this year other than the already approved Savage and West Street project.
Don?
Yes, Stephanie.
I would feel better knowing that we went back to like that zero budget like Michelle was talking about for capital improvement, bring those back. Because it's really not a good time to increase taxes, even though it would be nice to have a
Right.
more money in capital improvement. Would it make it easier for people to understand where the budget's at if we said that there's really, there's no increase in taxes? That would help.
Absolutely.
So,
My opinion.
do we need a motion for that, Michelle, to bring those
You're
back?
gonna need all kinds of motions by the time you figure out. I'm
Yes.
keeping track of what you're gonna need to do here.
Oh, I'm ready,
Okay,
It's
so
not-
like, you would need to actually make a motion to change your capital reserve amounts back to the department's requests. Okay, you would need to do that. And then that way, we will adjust that in the spreadsheets and we'll adjust that in the warrant article. And I
I'll-
believe that will make you and the budget committee even on capital reserves.
Right.
And I think
So-
close to even in.
Michael.
the fire.
Go ahead,
Michelle,
Mike.
since these are things that we have to make a decision on by Friday, the list of things that we need to have motions made on, can you go down that list and give us the opportunity to make a motion on those items for what we need to do so that we'll make this a lot less confusing?
Sure. So I had said to you the possible motions. So one is order that the town council hereby changes its recommendation for the 2021 capital reserve account budget to 50,000 for buildings and 135,000 for equipment, the department recommended amounts.
so moved.
Second,
Second,
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Tom
Getting late.
Vitale,
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
yes.
Courtney Chandler,
yes.
Peter Lawrence,
Yes.
Stephanie Thibodeau.
Yes.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Michelle?
All right. Next one, Michelle.
Number two, order that the town council hereby changes its recommendation for the 2021 fire department capital equipment reserve account budget line to $70,000, the department recommended amounts.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call for a vote.
John Pachani,
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Peter Lawrence.
Yes.
Sorry, I got out of queue there. Courtney Chandler,
Yes.
Stephanie Thibodeau.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, Michelle.
Okay, so the next one is your big one. Order that the town council hereby approves and signs the notice of postponement of the annual town budget meeting to July 14th, 2020. And, yep, that's it. This would mean that you're gonna go with the referendum.
Referendum, I was just gonna say that, yeah.
Would we have to vote on the referendum separately?
There's another article coming after this.
So
Okay,
moved.
so second,
Discussion, call for a vote.
Tom Pachani,
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Courtney Chandler,
yes.
Peter Lawrence,
Yes.
Stephanie Thibodeau.
No.
Okay, be noted 4-1. Carries.
Next one, order that the town council hereby approves and signs the 2021 annual town budget meeting warrant and that articles 2 through 31 be voted by secret ballot.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second,
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Call for a vote.
Tom Pachani,
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Peter Lawrence,
Yes.
Courtney Chandler,
yes.
Stephanie Thibodeau.
No.
Motion carries 4-1.
Thank you.
That's the end of them.
Okay,
Do we have to meet again on any of the other items on for the articles?
No, not unless tonight you want to change any of them.
right, because we have to
Because
have
you
them all
don't-
done by Friday.
You don't have time. The only thing that council can adjust is council's piece. There's not enough time to bring the budget committee together. So,
Right,
Okay,
like I had said before, no matter how we did this, we were gonna need to spend time educating people. And since this is what we're going to do, we now have direction and we'll start working immediately on getting your PR about all of this
big
together.
time. We got to get it out and get it in the paper and all over the place. Yep.
But Michelle,
Yes.
what did that number come out be that we were actually reducing our overall budget? Was there a percentage or an amount? I don't remember.
I didn't have the percentage in the memo and my official documents haven't been changed. But you were gonna have a budget that was gonna be $28,729 less than last year. So,
That's fine. Either a number or percentage worked for me. Thank you.
well, I can tell, it's pretty close. It's just over 1%. Or some right about in there because the budget committee's budget is down 28,568.
Yeah.
And that was 1.26%. So we'll get these sheets redone and make sure everybody has them too. So you'll have the big one.
Okay,
I can at least get you the cover sheet by tomorrow.
Thank
Right.
you.
okay, now let's move on to discuss other council business. And I'll start with Stephanie.
I would just like to commend Public Works for the fine job they did sweeping in my neighborhood. It makes walking so much easier, and they even did Center Road for us this year. Normally it's the state that does it, and they're not there until at least June 1st. So it's really nice to have it done on an earlier schedule. So to Bruce and his crew, thank you very much.
Very good. Peter,
I have nothing tonight.
Michael,
I just want to thank everybody for their hard work in this unusual situation that we're working through right now. Thanks to all the town employees for all their hard work and making this work in a uncertain world. Thank you.
Courtney,
I'd just like to echo the sentiments of my fellow council members. Public Works did a great job, but all of our town employees are really stepping up to the plate, and I've heard nothing but good things about everything that we're all doing. So just everybody stay safe and keep doing what you're doing.
and I will ditto everybody. The only other thing that I had come up is everybody received this. Michelle, where are we at? I went over it, but it's back to 2019 is with this, with our friend Robert Dale.
So the code enforcement officer was actually able to physically meet with him today. And we received some updates. And I'm hoping to be able to touch base with him via phone next week.
Okay,
He is supposed to be starting to make some payments soon. He's technically not out of compliance of his court order. When the winter started, he was
Wow.
in compliance of his court order, and April was the starting month. Now, that doesn't mean in 2 weeks, he's not going to be completely out of compliance with his court order. I'm just saying that right now, he is in a process of starting back up. Remember when we started this, the process was going to be long and arduous. Took a
Yep.
long time to get there, and it was going to take a long time to clean up. I can tell you, though, that one of the conversations I had with the code enforcement officer today is that, with all cleanups for junkyards in municipalities, they go on hiatus for the winter months. And during that time frame, we kind of lost touching base with Mr. Dale. And I think that's kind of been a little bit detrimental to our process. And hopefully we're going to be able to pick that back up and be able to see progress like we were seeing last fall. So that's where we're at right now. We're not technically out of compliance when it comes to the cleanup plan. We're a little bit behind on paying the legal fees, and we're gonna work on pushing that. So.
All right, very good. I guess that's all we've got. I'll look for a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
We are adjourned. Everybody drive.
Peter Lawrence,
Yes.